10 conclusive proofs that confirmed year 2028 end, as the saving message given to the 5 wise virgins, by knowing God's appointed time on the arrival of the bridegroom. Now we have established the fact regarding what Mrs. White foresaw regarding Revelation 18:1 that comes next to the third angel, that will accomplish the task of proclaiming the saving message, by knowing the exact appointed time of the arrival of the bridegroom at Christ's second coming. See Manuscript Releases Volume 16 page 269 paragraph 3. We now proceed to the topic, 10 conclusive proofs that confirmed the fixed appointed time of Christ's second coming by year 2028, as the saving message that comes through the oil from the 2 olive trees, to fill the lamps of the 5 wise virgins who are waiting for the bridegroom. Number 1. Chapter and verse location of symbolic Matthew 24:36 configured on chart the hour, the day, and the year of Christ's second coming. Matthew 24:36 No man knoweth the day and the hour. The literal and symbolic Matthew 24:36. The literal Matthew 24:36 contained closed-door message in relation to time during the days of Revelation 10:1-6 when the mystery behind Matthew 24:36 has not yet been unraveled. Christ's response in Matthew 24:36 is in accordance with the unsealing of the book of Daniel that has not yet transpired during his earthly ministry. Both the book of Daniel, Daniel 12:4, and the little book of John, as the message in relation to time, were still closed during his generation. How can our Lord Jesus Christ knew not the appointed time of his second coming, if he's the only one in heaven and on earth? See Revelation 5:3-13, who holds the key of David, Revelation 3:7-8, to unlock closed doors and sealed books in heaven, such as the book sealed with 7 seals, Revelation chapter 5, and also the unsealing of the little book of John, Revelation chapter 10 as the message in relation to time. That is why it was Christ himself, who holds the key of David that unlocked the sealed little book of John, into an open book, Revelation 10:8, that arrived in the days of the voice of the 7th angel, Revelation 10:7, when the mystery behind Matthew 24:36's no man knoweth the day and the hour, will be unraveled to his prophets, as promised in Revelation 10:7, and Acts 1:7-8. But before we proceed to unlock the symbolic Matthew 24:36, we needed first to resolve the following issue. Because many SDAs and non-SDAs are wondering why the union of Philadelphia and Laodicea in the last days was linked to the SDA Church in prophecy, with regards to the unsealing of the little book of John from closed-door message in relation to time that was written on chart by Mrs. White in the year 1900, to open-door message in relation to time that was written on chart by the 2 olive trees in the year 2002, as both confirmed on chart by the key of David that was manifest in history. Brethren, when the light from each of the 7 golden candlesticks in the heavenly sanctuary glows dim, and as the flame goes out, that candlestick has been removed. The 7 golden candlesticks symbolize the 7 churches of all Christendom at different periods in the history of the world. Revelation chapter 1 verses 11 and 20. In the last days, only the last 2 candlesticks as mentioned in Revelation chapter 11 verse 4, prevailed standing among the 7 golden candlesticks, are continually sustained by the oil from the 2 olive trees as its source of light, as explained clearly in Zechariah 4:11-14. That is why Christ's chosen church on earth that he founded, that was based under his very name, see chart, by whom the Holy Spirit symbolized by the oil from the 2 olive trees, continually flows as the source of light to sustain the 2 candlesticks, which is no other than the union of Philadelphia 6th Church and Laodicea 7th Church, as the qualification of the remnant in Revelation 12:17. That is why Christ's 2 witnesses of the last days are chosen from this remnant as prophesied in Revelation 11:3-4. Revelation 11:3-4, and I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,263 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees, and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. The union of Philadelphia 6th Church and Laodicea 7th Church, wherein we could see in figure, by adding 6 plus 7 equals 13, that duplicates in figure the total 13 worldwide divisions of the global SDA Church. Historical proof. The SDA Church was organized in the year 1863, that was 19 years after the start of the Laodicean 7th Church period, 1844 until Christ's second coming. The period covered by the Philadelphia Sixth Church, 1750 AD to 1844 AD, have reached the starting point of Laodicea's Seventh Church period at the start of investigative judgment in 1844, which lies at the end of 2,300 days in Daniel 8:14. The spirit of prophecy states that the union of Philadelphia and Laodicea is the qualification of the remnant in order to be saved. See Signs of the Times, January 17, 1911. That is why the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. Revelation 19:10 is endowed to the SDA Church, through Christ's two witnesses of the last days, Revelation 11:3-4, as the two anointed ones being referred to in Zechariah 4:14, who received the two witnessing from the spirit of prophecy, both dreams and visions, symbols and figures combined, to interpret accurately the unsealing of the book of Daniel that transpired 1798 AD. And the little book of John in Revelation chapter 10's voices of the seven thunders, that has been completely unsealed when John sees the little book open, Revelation 10:8, that arrived in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, starting 2002 AD, when the two messages of the gospel, God's kingdom of grace and God's kingdom of glory, have already united, that constitutes the light of the present truth. That is why the power to know the times and the seasons, in Acts 1:7-8, that is hidden in Matthew 24:36, was given to Christ's two witnesses, who are instructed to prophesy 1-60 days in Revelation 11:3-4, who have drawn on charts the fulfillment in history behind the unsealing of the little book of John, Revelation chapter 10's voices of the seven thunders. Mrs. Ellen G. White, as the first witness, interpreted the unsealing of the book of Daniel that transpired in 1798 AD, at the same year when America, the next covenant nation after physical Israel, began rising into power, by the time when papal supremacy also ended in 1798 AD. This three significant events that took place that same year in 1798 AD, which lies at the end of 1-60 prophetic days period, is the very testimony why Mrs. White was the first witness of the last days being referred to in Revelation 11:3-4, the reason why the chapter and verse location of that particular Bible verse is found written under her name that reveals her destiny. See chart. Mrs. White also interpreted the fulfillment of John's vision on voices of the seven thunders, Revelation 10:1-6, as the closed door message in relation to time, when she wrote down on chart the no definite tracing of prophetic time beyond 1844, in the year 1900, after 102 years of tarrying time from 1798 AD, as pinned on chart by the key of David. The exact time of the second coming of the Son of Man is God's mystery. The Desire of Ages, page 633. That is why the revelation of God's mystery that is hidden in Matthew 24:36, no man knoweth the day and the hour, will be unraveled only during the days of Revelation 10:7, when the mystery of God should be finished. This arrived by 2002 AD, at the start of the last period of probation, when the two olive trees imparted to human instrumentalities, as the second witness, Revelation 11:3-4, interpreted the fulfillment of John's vision on voices of the seven thunders in Revelation 10:7-11, as the open door message in relation to time, when John sees the little book unsealed, that was fulfilled in 2002 AD, after 102 years of tarrying time from 1900 AD, as pinned on chart by the key of David. The symbolic Matthew 24:36 that contained open door message in relation to time, arrived in the days of Revelation 10:7-11, when the mystery of God in disclosing the appointed time of Christ's second advent, to take place on the solemn eighth day, Nehemiah 8:18, of the seventh month, Tishri, 2028 AD, is fixedly located at the sign of the cross of Calvary. See how the chapter and verse location of Matthew 24:36 disclose the appointed time of Christ's second coming. Number 2. Chapter and verse location of Acts 1:7-8. Acts 1:7, and he said unto them, It is not for you to know the times, or the seasons, which the Father hath put in his own power. Acts 1:8, but ye shall receive power, after that the Holy Ghost is come upon you. And ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem, and in all Judea, and in Samaria, and unto the uttermost part of the earth. See chapter and verse location of Acts 1:7-8, in disclosing the appointed time of Christ's second advent, as fixedly located at the sign of the cross of Calvary, to take place on the solemn 8th day, Nehemiah 8:18, of the 7th month, Tishri, 2028 AD. Number 3. The sign of the Cross of Calvary, letters 126, 1898. The intelligent mind has seen the sign of the cross of Calvary in the Lord's adopted sons and daughters. The sin of the transgression of the law of God is taken away. Brethren, this clock in the background is disclosed through the sign of the cross of Calvary as drawn on Earth's equatorial time, is not just ordinary clock that we mortals used, but this clock uses a different kind of clock dial. Its hour hand, minute hand, and second hand were all fixed in location, sealed with the blood of Christ upon dying on the cross. This meant that this 3 fixed time locations, on Earth's equatorial time as applied in the Bible, was destined by God from all eternity was confirmed at Christ's death on the cross. God's very own timepiece has been purged with the blood of Christ for the redemption of mankind. The curse of sin that Christ took upon himself in man's behalf, Galatians 3:13, was manifest at the cross, unfolded to us by this 3 fixed time locations, whose appointed time has been written in blood in God's very own timepiece. Number 4. Doomsday by year 2028, bear the mark of Lucifer's rebellion. See chart. By combining on chart the 3 rebellions of Lucifer which began in heaven, and continued down to this earth below, bear the mark of Lucifer's rebellion that duplicates in figure the exact year 2028 when doomsday and Christ's second coming would occur. Number 5. The confirmation of year 2028 end is somehow divinely inspired. This is not by chance or coincidence, to prepare the rest of our brethren worldwide, as featured through an article in our very own Adventist Online. Number 6. How the Torah scheduled in advance Christ's first and second advent. Beforehand, the 2 olive trees have also unlocked the Torah code mystery that puzzled many scientists and cryptographers for many years without any clear solution to the said puzzle. In a recent Pentagon research just before 9/11 took place inside USA, a cryptographer scientist by the name of Harold Gans released a film Secrets of the Bible Code Revealed, by Grizzly Adams Productions, by trying to solve the mystery behind the word Torah, with the missing letter A, that appeared every 179 sequence in equidistant lattice in their graphical experiment. The unsolved mystery behind the word Torah, with the missing letter A, that appeared every 179 sequence in equidistant lattice, during the last Harold Gans Ish Hadara research, is simply the sum of the codes from the great I Am, who gave the Torah to Moses and Mount Sinai, and the word Torah itself, which when combined meant, I am the law. By unlocking the Torah code mystery, actually scheduled in advance God's appointed time regarding Christ's first advent, and Christ's second advent, which are both inscribed by God through the everlasting covenant of the rainbow preserved under its 7 colors. See chart. Number 7. The link in between the everlasting covenant of the rainbow, through its 7 colors, and the third angel's message through the symbolic Revelation 14:9-12, in line with its chapter and verse location, disclosed the Torah from the great I Am, that accurately scheduled in advance the time of the end by year 2028. Number 8. The messianic secret to the sign of the prophet Jonah. Note, the 3 days and 3 nights, namely 72 hours covered by the sign of the prophet Jonah, are both earthly and heavenly signs. The Jews, when they asked evidence of Jesus' claim of messiahship, our Lord replied, "There shall be no sign given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonah. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth." Matthew 12:39-40, Desire of Ages, page 406, paragraph 3. Note, the span of 36 hours covered by the sign of the prophet Jonah has been traditionally kept from Good Friday 3 p.m. to Easter Sunday 3 a.m. among the Catholics. As SDAs, although we do not celebrate the Holy Week, but we adhere to this counting of the same 36 hours period when it comes to the sign of the prophet Jonah's 3 days and 3 nights. This was the reason why the 2 olive trees is the author of this book, earlier based Christ's second coming to arrive by year 2018, which lies shortly at the end of the 36 heavens hours period during the heavenly oblation, when Christ is our officiating high priest. Year 2018 when Christ did not come shortly after 36 heavens hours, as located on sanctuary map, as expected, has become a blessing when it just uncovered the conspiracy by the Sanhedrin, of what really took place during Christ's crucifixion in 31 AD, when they altered the actual 72 hours period covered by the earthly sign of the prophet Jonah's 3 days and 3 nights by compressing it into 36 hours period. God has caused this disappointment to happen last 2018, to unravel this longtime conspiracy by the Sanhedrin that altered the day of Christ's crucifixion in 31 AD. The true version behind the span of 3 days and 3 nights, namely 72 hours covered by the earthly sign of the prophet Jonah, that actually took place during the year of crucifixion 31 AD when Christ was still the Passover lamb, has been confirmed after 2018 AD, when Christ's second coming did not arrive shortly at the end of the 36 heavens hours during the heavenly oblation when Christ is already a high priest. The Sanhedrin that decided to kill him were the same men who attempted to change the real Passover date in the year of the crucifixion 31 AD, that fell on a Wednesday, and they changed it into Friday, and even attempted to conceal his resurrection. See the actual Passover date that fell on a Wednesday in the year 31 AD, year of Christ's crucifixion, that was recorded in the sacred calendar. The said date was tampered and was changed into Friday by the Sanhedrin. This is the reason why the 3 days and 3 nights covered by the sign of the prophet Jonah has been altered in the history of Christ's crucifixion in 31 AD, from the actual 72 hours period into 36 hours period, as erroneously observed in traditional Christianity. A more detailed explanation on the actual 72 hours version of the earthly sign of the prophet Jonah's 3 days and 3 nights, as what really took place during Christ's crucifixion in 31 AD, is shown on chart 40b, in the background. That is why the span of 72 heavens hours version of the heavenly sign of the prophet Jonah's 3 days and 3 nights will arrive by 2028 AD, as the appointed time of Christ's second coming. See sanctuary map the exact year location of 2028 AD, which lies at the end of the heavenly sign of the prophet Jonah's 72 heavens hours, equivalent to 24 years on earth. After the great image code embedded through the dream and vision of the collapse of world empires, by both Nebuchadnezzar and prophet Daniel in Daniel chapter 2, had transpired last 2004, see chart, in signifying the soon collapse of all temporal kingdoms on earth from its 12 foundations, is at hand. Then came next to it, is the heavenly sign of the prophet Jonah's 72 heavens hours, equivalent to 24 years after 2004, that would reach 2028 AD as the time of the end. Breaking the time barrier, bridging heaven and earth, on how the 2 olive trees unlocked the accurate conversion of heaven's day period and its equivalent in earth years, by applying God's own timetable in Leviticus 25:8, Sabbaths of years from creation, have filled up the missing chronology from creation and the antediluvian world, that agree with all the recorded genealogies in Genesis. For more details, please refer to chapter 16 of the book entitled, The Light of the Present Truth to Radiate from a Divinely Appointed Center in Australasia. Number 9. Confirmation of year 2028 end, has been derived from God's own formula in the judgment at the sanctuary, that was in 1 John 3:4, sin is the transgression of the law of God, and this was manifest in history. See 2 consecutive charts in the background. Number 10. Satan was a defeated foe at the battle at Armageddon, that will occur during the 6th plague at the drying of the river Euphrates, before the coming of the kings of the east. Revelation 16:12-16. Year 2028 lies 28 years after 2000 AD, equivalent to 3.5 heaven's days period, namely in the midst of heaven's week period, after the close of 6,000 years last 2000 AD. Notice that the midst of heaven's week period given to Satan after the close of 6,000 years, duplicates the midst of the week in Daniel 9:27, when Christ took upon himself the curse of sin to save mankind, upon dying at the cross Galatians 3:13, after 3.5 years of his earthly ministry. For 6,000 years, Satan's work of rebellion has made the earth to tremble. He has made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof. And he opened not the house of his prisoners. For 6,000 years his prison house has received God's people, and he would have held them captive forever, but Christ has broken his bonds and set the prisoners free. The Great Controversy, page 659, paragraph 3. Brethren, get yourself aware regarding where we are now in prophecy after Revelation 18:1 from the east, has already united with the three angels' messages from the west, whose union constitutes the light of the present truth through the gospel. By acquiring the 265-page ebook copy with 128 charts, available upon request to the Two Olive Trees.